That afternoon, I received a call from the kindergarten teacher. She said my 3-year-old, Lila Bennett, had been bullied by a pair of twins in class. When I arrived at the preschool, I found Lila sitting quietly in her favorite blue dress, now splattered with bright orange paint. Faint streaks of paint marked her cheeks, and her eyes welled up the moment she saw me. "Mama, they tried to make me play a mean game," she whispered, her voice trembling. I said no, so they dumped paint on me. Furious, I marched to the principal's office, demanding answers. The principal, however, leaned forward and spoke in a hushed, urgent tone. "Those boys are the sons of the wealthiest family in town, Miss Bennett. I strongly advise you to let this go. Take Lila and steer clear of trouble." I froze, my hand hovering over my phone, which I'd nearly flung in frustration. The wealthiest family? I was certain I held that title in Willow Creek. I called my husband, who was on a work trip in Denver, and told him to return immediately. What I didn't expect was the twins spotting him the moment he arrived and rushing toward him, shouting, "Dad, you're here. Tell this lady to leave us alone." The principal's warning echoed in my mind. "Those boys are the sons of the most powerful man in town, Miss Bennett. You can't afford to challenge them." I nearly laughed out loud. The most powerful man in Willow Creek? Since when had someone else claimed that crown? Sure, I'd kept a low profile since inheriting my family's fortune after my parents' passing, but that didn't mean I'd vanished. Holding Lila close as she shivered in my arms, I felt a surge of protectiveness. "Principal," I said, my voice steady, "you've got it wrong. The richest person in Willow Creek isn't named Larson." The principal's expression shifted to one of pity, as if I were delusional. "Miss Bennett, you may not know this, but Mrs. Larson is the most influential figure in town. Her husband even funds this preschool. You're out of your depth here," she added. "For everyone's sake, I suggest you move Lila to another school." I pressed a gentle kiss to Lila's forehead. "Sweetheart, why did those boys target you?" Her small voice broke as she answered, "Caleb and Mason said they wanted to see my dress lifted. I wouldn't let them, so they said I deserved to be punished." My heart sank. A 3-year-old, tied to a playground post and doused in paint, all for refusing their cruel game? And the principal had the audacity to ask me to let it slide? "I want to speak to their parents," I said, my tone icy as I locked eyes with the principal. "Right now." She hesitated, clearly stalling, but I was already on my phone. "Assistant Carter, pull up the investor records for Willow Creek Preschool. I need a complete list of shareholders and their details in 5 minutes." The principal's face paled. "Miss Bennett, what are you doing?" I gave her a faint smile. "Just because I don't flaunt my wealth doesn't mean I'll let anyone walk over me." 10 minutes later, I sat calmly in the principal's office, waiting. Lila had been taken to the nurse's office to clean up. My phone pinged with a message from Assistant Carter, a detailed report on the twins' mother. Serena Larson, formerly a lounge singer, emerged in elite circles 4 years ago after aligning with a rich businessman, known for leveraging relationships to climb the social ladder. Claims to be the wealthiest wife in town but holds no significant assets. The twins' school records list no father. Investigation ongoing. I narrowed my eyes. So, a woman who built her status by attaching herself to powerful men dared to call herself the richest? Just then, the office door swung open, and a wave of expensive perfume filled the room. "Who's demanding to see me?" a woman's voice snapped. I looked up to see a figure dripping in designer clothes stride in, her heels clicking sharply on the floor. Behind her trailed the twin boys, smirking with confidence. "You're Lila's mother?" Serena Larson gave me a slow, dismissive once-over, her gaze lingering on my simple blouse and flats. A mocking smile curled her lips. "So, you're the one causing a fuss?" I stood, meeting her stare head-on. "Are you aware your sons tied my daughter to a post and poured paint on her?" Serena let out a dramatic laugh. "Kids play rough sometimes. Is that really worth all this drama?" She turned to the boys. "Sweeties, why were you messing with that girl?" "Because she wouldn't lift her dress for us," one twin blurted. "Mom said girls have to do what we say," the other added, smirking. "If she doesn't listen next time, we'll tie her up again." I was stunned when Serena clapped, beaming with pride. "That's my boys." My hands balled into fists, barely containing my rage. "Is this how you raise your children, Serena?" Her expression hardened. "Don't act high and mighty. I checked you out, an ordinary office worker with a husband who's never around. What are you playing at?" She pulled a thick wad of cash from her designer purse and tossed it at me. This should cover your daughter's little feelings. The bills hit my face. Oh, and this is for when my boys ripped her drawing last week. That's more than enough, right? A small crowd of teachers had gathered outside the office, some whispering, others looking away. Serena's voice grew louder, more theatrical. Last month, they tore up her notebook. Here's payment for that. And the month before, they spilled her lunch on the ground. Your precious girl went hungry all day. With each incident she listed, she flung more cash, as if it justified everything. My heart ached. Lila had been enduring this for months, and no one had told me. Finally, Serena tossed her empty wallet onto the desk. That enough for you? I've got cards if you're still greedy. She leaned in, her voice low and venomous. If you're smart, you'll take your kid and get lost. Next time she crosses my boys, money won't save her. I knelt, gathering the scattered bills with deliberate care, my movements calm but resolute. Serena smirked, thinking I'd backed down. Well, I'm done here, she said, turning to leave. I've got better things to do than deal with a nobody like you. Stop, I said, my voice steady but loud enough to silence the room. We're not finished. She turned, her eyes glinting with amusement. What? Still want more cash? Miss Bennett, she sneered, take the money and go. I know all about you. A single mom scraping by with a mediocre job. Why are you acting tough? Keep this up, and I'll make sure your daughter's out of this school by tomorrow. I stared at her, the absurdity of her arrogance washing over me. Out of this school? I repeated, my voice slow and deliberate. Yes, she snapped. Expelled. Serena Larson tilted her head back, her eyes gleaming with smug superiority. This preschool isn't for just anyone. Even with your kid here, it feels like slumming it for me. I let a slow, deliberate smile spread across my face. Do you even know who owns this place? Serena scoffed, spinning dramatically with her arms outstretched. What? Are you going to claim it's you? She wasn't wrong, though she didn't know it. The Bennett family's influence ran deep in Willow Creek. Every business, every corner bore our name, even if I kept it quiet. If a dollar dropped from the sky, it'd likely have our mark on it. Just then, Lila appeared, tugging gently at my skirt. Her voice was small, fragile. Mama, can we go home? Lila's scared. My heart clenched, the weight of her words crushing me. For a moment, I doubted myself. All I'd wanted was a simple, quiet life, far from the spotlight. But had my silence only hurt the one I loved most? Did you hear her? She's scared. One of the twins sneered, spitting toward Lila. That's what you get for not showing us your dress. Tomorrow, we'll lift it again, the other chimed in, grinning. We'll record it and send it to everyone. My head snapped up. The boys laughed, unfazed, as if their cruelty was a game. The older twin reached out, trying to tug at Lila's skirt. Next time, we'll pull it off for real. Yeah, strip her, his brother echoed. Mom says girls are supposed to let us do whatever we want. When we're older, we'll have all the girls at school. You're first, Lila. The teachers around us gasped, their faces a mix of shock and discomfort. But Serena? She just covered her mouth and giggled. Kids and their silly ideas. They're just curious. It's harmless. A little attention won't hurt her. I fixed my gaze on her, my voice low and sharp. What did you just say? Serena shrugged, completely unbothered. Oh, please, drop the sanctimonious act. What's so special about your kid? Honestly, my boys noticing her should be an honor for someone like you. Her words ignited something in me. I stepped toward the twins, my movements calm but deliberate. The room grew tense, and a teacher hurried forward, her voice shaky. Miss Bennett, please, let's not escalate this. I ignored her, kneeling in front of the older twin, the one who'd threatened to strip Lila. I met his defiant gaze. You enjoy trying to expose other people's clothes? He jutted out his chin, already tall for his age. None of your business. I gave him a faint, controlled smile, then swiftly tugged open his jacket. 2 buttons flew off, clattering across the floor. How about we see how you like it? What are you doing? Serena shrieked, lunging toward me. Get your hands off my son. Your daughter's nothing special. Being looked at won't kill her. Mom. Help, the boy wailed. The room erupted into chaos. Miss Bennett, please, the principal pleaded, her face pale. You don't know who you're dealing with. Stop her, a teacher cried. If Serena gets mad, we're all in trouble. Serena barked. Grab this lunatic. 8 bodyguards stormed into the room, their heavy footsteps echoing. A teacher, Miss Carter, whispered nervously, "Miss Bennett, they're serious." Last week, a janitor accidentally bumped into Serena's purse. He's still in the hospital. I didn't flinch. The lead bodyguard swung a baton at my head, but I sidestepped, grabbing his arm and twisting it with a single, fluid motion. He hit the floor with a thud. One by one, the bodyguards fell, each one crumpling under my precise movements. The crowd stirred, murmurs rippling through the room. By the time I had the last bodyguard pinned, his arm locked behind his back, the twins were trembling. "Let me go, you hag," the older one screamed. "My dad's gonna ruin your whole family. Poor people like you should bow to us," the younger one spat. "You don't touch us." I let out a soft, mocking chuckle. Oh, let's see what makes the so-called richest family's kids so special. In moments, the twins stood before the crowd in just their cartoon-patterned underwear, their bravado gone. Whispers buzzed through the room, some onlookers stifling laughter. I dusted off my hands and turned to Serena, mimicking her icy tone. "So, how much do I owe you for this?" Serena shook with fury, her perfectly styled hair now disheveled. "You're deranged," she screeched, pointing a trembling finger at me. "You dare touch my sons? Do you have any idea who I am? One phone call, and you and your brat won't last a day in Willow Creek." "I know exactly who you are," I said calmly. "Serena Larson, a woman who climbed the social ladder by cozying up to powerful men, right?" Her face turned crimson. "You filthy nobody. You think you can afford to cross me? My son's clothes are custom-made, imported. You'll pay for this." I tilted my head, and her expression twisted, growing uglier by the second. "Honey," she shouted into her phone, putting it on speaker. "Send money now. Someone attacked our boys, humiliated them. She's throwing cash to mock me. Make her pay." A pause, then a deep voice came through. "Hold on." My hand tightened into a fist. That voice, it was too familiar. But no, Daniel Bennett would never betray me. I pushed the thought aside. "Principal," I said evenly, "please grab the black bag from my car's back seat." The principal hesitated, then scurried to the parking lot. She returned, breathless, holding a black bag covered in Lila's favorite animal stickers. I unzipped it, pulled out 3 thick stacks of cash, and tossed them at Serena's feet. "This should cover your son's worth, right?" The crowd burst into applause. "About time," a parent shouted. "My daughter came home with her books torn up by those two," another parent called out. "They said we're too poor to deserve nice things." "My son was pushed off the slide," a father added, his voice shaking. "They laughed while he cried with a sprained wrist." Another parent held up their phone. "I've got it all recorded." Under the growing wave of accusations, Serena took a step back, her confidence faltering. I stepped onto a bench, my voice rising above the noise. "I'm not just speaking as Lila's mother today. If a 3-year-old can be punished for standing up to harassment and we all stay silent," I pointed at the twins, "then tomorrow, it could be your child humiliated and hurt." The crowd roared in agreement. "Exactly. Those boys have been terrorizing everyone." Serena, now cornered, screamed, "I'll make sure every one of you regrets this." "Enough, Serena," I said, my voice calm but firm. "Do you get a thrill out of flaunting your so-called power? If this isn't enough," I gestured to the cash at her feet, "I can offer more. But there's a condition. My daughter deserves a proper apology." I pulled out my phone and dialed. "Assistant Carter, arrange for $3 million in cash to be delivered to Lila's preschool now." Serena let out a mocking laugh. "What? Rented a fancy car and flashed some bills? I've seen that trick before." "Just wait," she sneered. "You'll humiliate yourself soon enough, and that's when the real fun starts." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. Carter's voice came through, frantic. "Miss Bennett, all your accounts are frozen. Finance says your husband moved a massive sum. There's nothing available right now." Serena overheard and erupted into laughter, clutching her sides. "Oh, keep up the act. What's wrong? Out of fake money to throw around. Pretending to be some big shot with nothing to back it up." I stayed composed, ignoring her taunts. "I'm calling my husband. I expect you to honor your word and apologize to Lila." She laughed harder, practically doubling over. "Sure, darling. If you can pull out $1 million in cash right here, I'll yank my boys out of the school." "And one more thing," I said, my voice cutting through the air. You'll personally apologize to every student and teacher your sons have tormented. Serena tossed her head, her sleek curls bouncing. Forget apologizing. I'll grovel if you want. She leaned closer, her voice a venomous whisper. But I hope it's not you begging me to spare your kid later. The call connected, and I heard faint airport announcements in the background. I'm at the preschool, I said, a slight tremor betraying my calm facade. Can you come now? A brief pause, then Daniel's voice, weary and low. I just landed in Willow Creek. I'll be there in 20 minutes. I hung up and glanced at the twins, now untied, glaring at me with defiance. My skin burned from an allergic reaction to the paint splattered earlier, the irritation creeping up my neck. I adjusted my scarf, shielding my face behind sunglasses. Still playing mysterious? Serena taunted, smirking. Hiding a rash or just ashamed? I said nothing, stepping quietly to the side. 15 minutes later, tires screeched outside the preschool gate. Daniel appeared, his tall frame disheveled from travel. Before he could speak, the twins rushed him, clinging to his legs.
Dad.
You're here. His eyes skipped over them, landing on me. For a moment, my breath caught, every nerve in my body on edge. Daniel's brow furrowed as he scanned the crowd, clearly searching for the person who'd called him. With my face partially covered, he didn't recognize me. From the nurse's office, I heard the faint sound of water. Lila was still being cleaned of the paint. I bit my lip, fighting back tears that threatened to spill. Serena strutted toward Daniel, like a peacock flaunting its feathers. Daniel, what brought you here? Worried about me and the boys. His gaze passed over me, bundled in my scarf and sunglasses, and his shoulders visibly relaxed. In that moment, I realized he had no idea it was me. What's going on? He asked, frowning. Someone bullied the boys? Just some nobody-stirring trouble, Serena said, jabbing a finger at me. Her kid tried to flirt with our sons, and then dared to touch them. Daniel stepped closer, his eyes cold as they raked over me, as if I were nothing but a nuisance. Without a word, he pulled a checkbook from his coat, scribbled a figure, and flicked the check at me. 400,000. That's more than you'd earn in a year, right? Take it and leave. I stared into his eyes, searching for any trace of the man I'd loved for years. There was none, just disdain. Not enough, he snorted, tearing off another check. Here's 50,000 more. Apologize to my sons and get out. Mr. Bennett is so generous, I said, my voice steady as I gathered the scattered checks from the ground one by one. Your sons tied my daughter to a post and doused her in paint, I said. How do you plan to make that right? His expression flickered with irritation as he turned to the twins. I told you to stop causing trouble. Now you've dragged in some desperate woman who won't back off. Enough, he said, pulling a thick stack of bills from his wallet and tossing them onto a nearby table. This should cover her medical costs. I recognized the wallet instantly, a leather one I'd gifted him for our anniversary, now filled with money meant to silence me. The business trips he'd taken for years flashed through my mind, likely spent with Serena. And now, he'd enrolled their children in the same school as ours. I shoved the money back at him. I don't want your cash. I want your sons to publicly apologize to my daughter. Keep dreaming, Serena screeched. Do you even know who my husband is? Daniel's face darkened as he pulled out his checkbook again. Last offer, 200,000. Don't test me. 200,000. Combined with his earlier offers, it matched the exact limit I'd once set for his personal account. I stood slowly, brushing off my skirt. Raising my voice with a deliberate edge, I asked, Are you two legally married? Got a marriage certificate to prove it. Both Daniel and Serena froze. I smiled faintly. Of course they weren't. Daniel was my husband. He couldn't legally marry her. I waved my phone. Should I call City Hall to verify? Daniel's eyes narrowed, sharp and dangerous. What's that to you? Stay on topic. And that money, I continued, is it from your company account or personal? Will it hold up under a tax audit? Who do you think you are? Serena screamed, her voice shrill. We're the richest in Willow Creek. You're nothing. Daniel's expression hardened as he motioned to the principal. Principal Hayes, expel that child immediately. I won't have my sons in a school with her kind. Within minutes, the principal returned, flustered, clutching a withdrawal form. Ms. Bennett, please review this. My fingers tightened around the voice recorder in my pocket, trembling slightly. If Daniel had perfected anything over the years, It was wielding power to crush those in his way. If Lila couldn't stay at this preschool, then this place had no reason to stand. Principal Hayes, I said, my voice steady but laced with steel, are you sure about this choice? If my daughter is forced out, I guarantee this building will be gone in 3 days. I carefully avoided saying Lila's name aloud. Serena burst into laughter, her voice dripping with mockery. What, are you a wrecking crew now? Think you can just tear down a school because you say so? Or is your husband the one swinging the sledgehammer? Your bluff's so weak it's almost cute, she added, smirking. Just then, Lila came running from the nurse's office, her face lighting up with innocent joy when she spotted Daniel. Daddy. She rushed toward him, arms outstretched. But Daniel flinched, stepping back as if she were a stranger, pushing her away. Lila stumbled, her forehead striking the edge of a planter. A red welt bloomed instantly, and a trickle of blood ran down her face. I dropped to her side, pulling her into my arms. She whimpered, her voice barely audible. Mama, does Daddy not love Lila anymore? Daniel stood frozen, his face pale. Serena, however, smirked triumphantly. That's what she gets for calling random men daddy. I wiped the blood from Lila's cheek, my gaze lifting to Daniel, cold and sharp. Daniel, are you even human? He still hadn't realized the child his sons had tormented was his own daughter. He was still playing the stranger. Like mother, like daughter, he said, his voice icy, not a trace of remorse in his eyes. The truth hit me like a wave. When I called him earlier, with Carter handling things behind the scenes, he must have assumed I was still out of town. That's why he stood here so boldly, believing the woman before him couldn't possibly be me. Cradling Lila, I brushed my fingers over the swelling on her forehead. Daniel stood just steps away, pristine in his tailored suit, but his gaze was as cold as if he were staring at a nobody. How can you be so heartless? My voice shook. She's your... I nearly tore off my scarf to reveal my... What are you babbling about? Daniel snapped, his jaw tight. I don't know you or your kid. Serena clung to his arm, smirking. Exactly. Daniel's only got our boys. Where'd this little pest come from? Probably some stray. Latching onto any man she sees, she added. Lila trembled in my arms, her small body absorbing every cruel word. She was young, but she understood enough. Before I could respond, the preschool gates swung open. A man in a sharp gray suit strode in, his steps deliberate. Mr. Carver? Daniel's demeanor shifted instantly, his tone turning eager. Here for the contract payment discussion? Serena straightened, smoothing her dress and flashing a practiced smile. Mr. Carver, so good to see you. But the man didn't spare them a glance. He walked straight past, stopping in front of me. With both hands, he presented a sleek folder. Chairwoman Bennett, the documents you requested. The preschool fell silent, the air thick with shock. Daniel staggered back, his face ashen. Mr. Carver, what did you call her? Serena scoffed, her voice sharp with disdain. You've got to be kidding. This nobody? Treated like that? How dare you speak that way in front of Chairwoman Bennett? Mr. Carver's voice cut through the silence, sharp and authoritative. He turned to Daniel, his gaze icy. You don't even recognize your own wife? Daniel's legs buckled, his face drained of color. Gasps echoed through the crowd. I didn't take the folder. Instead, I slowly removed my sunglasses and unwound the scarf, revealing my face despite the faint rash still lingering. It was enough for everyone to see the truth. Clara Bennett. Daniel stumbled backward, nearly tripping over the stunned twins. Serena stood frozen, her eyes wide with disbelief. Who is she? Who the hell is she? Serena, you're the other woman, and you're asking the wife who she is? I said, my voice calm but cutting. Daniel scrambled to deny it. No, honey, it's not what you think. I was just helping out. There's nothing between me and Serena. Still lying, Daniel? Even now? I opened the folder and tossed a stack of photos to the ground. Each one showed Daniel and Serena laughing, traveling, posing with the twins like a perfect family. The oldest photo? 4 years ago, when I was confined to a hospital bed, fighting to keep Lila alive. Explain this, I said, pointing to a picture of their so-called family. While I was bedridden for our daughter, you were busy playing house. Daniel's mouth opened, but no words came. No hurry, I said. Soon, all of Willow Creek will know exactly what you've done. A teacher nearby shouted, Lila's mom, we've got it all on video. Serena lunged at me, her nails outstretched. "You set us up, you witch." Mr. Carver stepped in front of me, blocking her with ease. "Ms. Larson, mind your words. This is Chairwoman Clara of the Bennett Group, the woman you claimed your husband outranked." "That's impossible," Serena shrieked. "Daniel's the richest man in Willow Creek." I let out a cold laugh. "Every business under Daniel's name? I'm the majority shareholder. Every luxury item he bought you? Charged to my account. I can take it all back, and if I choose, I can see you behind bars." Daniel dropped to his knees with a thud. "Clara, please, Chairwoman Bennett." He grabbed at my leg, desperate. "She tricked me. I didn't mean for this." Serena turned on him, her voice a piercing wail. "You said you'd marry me, Daniel. You lied." I stepped back, letting their chaos unfold. It was done. I had no reason to linger. I lifted Lila into my arms. "Let's go home, sweetheart." "Mama," Lila's arms wrapped tightly around my neck, her voice soft. "Does Daddy not want us anymore?" I kissed the welt on her forehead. "Some people don't deserve to be called Daddy, honey." Behind us, Daniel's voice cracked, pleading. "Clara, I messed up. For Lila's sake, let me explain. The divorce papers will be on your desk tomorrow," I said without turning. "And per our prenup, the cheater leaves with nothing." As we walked through the preschool gates, a soft rain began to fall. Mr. Carver appeared beside me, holding an umbrella. "Chairwoman, should I proceed with expelling the twins?" I glanced at Lila, now dozing in my arms, and whispered, "From today, that entire family is banned from Willow Creek." "Mama," Lila murmured, "can I still have the strawberry cake Daddy used to get?" I paused, my hand on the car's seatbelt buckle, as tears finally spilled down my cheeks. "Sweetheart, Mama will get you something even better than that cake." For 3 days, Daniel had been kneeling outside my estate's gates, his voice raw from shouting. "Clara, I know I messed up. Please." From behind the tall glass windows, I watched his pathetic figure, feeling nothing but cold revulsion. Once, I might have rushed to forgive him. Now, the thought of sharing this deceitful man with others for years made my stomach churn. I picked up my phone and called security. "Please escort the man outside away." Turning back to my room, my phone lit up with a message from my private investigator. Photos from hours earlier showed Daniel in a nightclub, tangled in a heated embrace with a young influencer. Later, he'd shifted tactics, playing the devoted husband card. The divorce wasn't finalized yet, and while he still had access to some funds, he'd started bombarding me with gifts. By morning, my doorstep was buried under designer boxes, Gucci bags, Tiffany rings, Chanel earrings, items I'd once mentioned in passing. At the center was a framed photo of our wedding, our smiles now hollow. I called property management. "Clear this trash out. I don't want a single box left." That afternoon, Lila's preschool teacher called. Her father dropped off a cake, said it's for her birthday. "Throw it out," I said firmly. Daniel called immediately after. "Clara, you can hate me, but I'm still Lila's dad." My voice was ice. "Daniel, her last name is Bennett, not yours. You've got your sons. Stay out of her life, or you'll regret it." When guilt-tripping me through Lila failed, he pivoted to playing the victim. He stood outside my company's headquarters, holding a neon sign that flashed, "Please forgive me, my love." He showed up at my favorite cafes, playing the same guitar melody from our wedding. The most ridiculous move? He leaked a press release to the media, spinning a tale of a prominent couple healing after a minor misunderstanding. My legal team sent a cease and desist order within hours. Then came the investigators' real bombshell. Serena was just the start. Over 5 years, Daniel had used my money to bankroll at least 5 other women across 4 cities. Each got the same script. My marriage was arranged, no love involved. "I'll divorce her soon, just wait. Here's a card, spend freely." Every card was linked to my accounts. On the day the divorce was finalized, Daniel stormed into my office, his lawyer in tow. "Clara, let's discuss asset division." "Really?" I said, smiling calmly. I nodded to my team, who started a presentation. The first slide showed Daniel and Serena in Bali, a lavish trip costing $4 million. The second displayed a $7 million penthouse he'd gifted to the influencer. The final slide highlighted Clause 8 of our prenup, circled in bold. "The unfaithful party forfeits all assets." His lawyer didn't utter a word. He grabbed his briefcase and left. A month later, Daniel, now penniless, was photographed slumped in a dive bar, unable to pay his tab. The once mighty Daniel Bennett was reduced to nothing. Soon after, the preschool's surveillance footage leaked online. At first, it circulated quietly in local circles. Then someone recognized me. Isn't that Chairwoman Bennett, who led the flood relief efforts last year? In the video, I looked worn, shielding Lila from harm, while Daniel and Serena stood smug, tossing money and belittling others, every moment captured clearly. Within hours, the internet erupted. Hashtag Willow Creek Power Couple Scandal, hashtag Relief Hero Humiliated by Cheaters, hashtag Daniel and Serena out of Willow Creek. Comments flooded in, the public rallying behind me. Chairwoman Bennett donated $200 million for flood relief and carried supplies herself. How dare they treat her like that? Disgusting doesn't even cover it. Wealth doesn't give you the right to trample others. Investigate them. Serena's fake persona probably collapsed when she realized who she was up against. Serena's carefully curated image unraveled overnight. Her socialite status was exposed as a sham, her degree purchased, her family history fabricated, her face altered by countless surgeries. Old photos surfaced, Serena in gaudy makeup, lounging in a nightclub, far from the polished figure she'd crafted. Her social media accounts were overwhelmed with backlash and soon deleted. Brands dropped her, and even the clinics she'd frequented issued statements. We have no record of serving Ms. Larson. Days later, a headline emerged, Serena, doused in paint by debt collectors after defaulting on loans, her once pristine face now pale and scarred under harsh daylight. Daniel's fall was steeper. I froze every asset in his name, including the $20 million he'd tried to funnel overseas. His business empire crumbled, partners vanishing as his funds dried up. Then his other mistresses surfaced, demanding their share. The influencer shared texts where he promised marriage. A bartender posted a timeline proving he'd juggled multiple women. A struggling singer released an audio of them plotting to manipulate me. By the time the court reconvened, Daniel sat in the defendant's chair, unshaven and broken, a shadow of the man he'd been. As the judge delivered the verdict, he turned to me, eyes wet with desperation. Clara, we were married 5 years. Can't you give me one more chance? I took Lila's hand and walked away without looking back. His voice broke into a wail. Clara, you're heartless. Heartless? Compared to what Lila endured at that preschool. This was mercy. We settled into a hillside manor, far from the chaos. The gardens bloomed with Lila's favorite daisies, and the backyard pool became her playground. On moving day, a crowd of Daniel's former allies showed up, men who once called him brother, now groveling to me. Anything the little lady needs, just name it. We're here for you, Chairwoman. I turned them away. Their loyalty was as fleeting as their fear of my influence. In business, everyone wore a mask. Lila thrived in her new school, her teachers kind and her classmates welcoming. She came home bubbling with stories. Mama, my teacher loved my painting today. But at night, when the house grew quiet, she'd whisper, When's Daddy coming to visit? I stroked her hair gently. Daddy's working far away, sweetheart. By now, Daniel was likely in a cell on the edge of Willow Creek, facing the consequences I'd arranged. Serena and her sons were scraping by in a rural backwater, clinging to a crumbling plot of land. Her carefully crafted appearance couldn't withstand another blow. A year later, I launched the Children's Dignity Foundation. At the opening press conference, a reporter asked why I'd founded it. I glanced at Lila, sitting proudly in the front row, and smiled softly. Because every child deserves kindness. Cameras flashed, and a memory flickered. Our wedding day, Daniel kneeling, promising, I'll never let you cry. What a bitter irony. But it didn't matter anymore. Lila and I had a long road ahead, and our happiness was just beginning.